I've picked the most unstable part of life, I think, which is loss. So I've got two poems, one an old one, and if you don't feel like being depressed, mute me. Spilling sand. In church I crouch on stone to nurse the flame, warm hands in a cradle of air. Rocking on tiptoe I plant the light, a flag in a bed of sand, clench fists. Too late, the candle burns for him. I should have clasped his still fingers, thawed them in a curl of a palm, been bold and strong, not cool and numb. Strangers scattered his ashes, seeds I could have sown in hope for spring. It's calm here, but the heart races, grains spill from stiff knees, dust clings to skin, words form, fuse to the line. These hands have squandered too much time. I grasp your arm, brace my spine for cold. As September's gone, our son's birth date passed us by. We thought only of winter. Thank you. And this is much more recent. The bed hums to a mother's stillness, face sinking in the bank of pillows, the patient willing for her heart to stop. My sister knits, stops to count the stitches in a baby coat, alert to each twitch, hand or eye, openings, needs we can meet. We heed the lift and sigh of the chest, her spare words, a nod for the gift, a great-grandchild. Hours shrink in chat. She who knew everything, asking, who is the knitter? Frowning, and which one sews, throws us out of kilter. In the silence we slip to scenes when we were fearful and small, inflaming a mother's tongue, curt, volatile, clamped between teeth. Her life of service, the plans, cut and dried, put us firmly in our place. Thieves of pens, scissors to shape a playhouse from a box, sisters hiding in dens and nursing secrets. My mother sang to a vacuum, tuneless, familiar, a temperate climb for the good, clean fun in our attic, jumpers plumped with cushions, mimics playing mum. Lulled in the cradle of her ward, hands held in a warm pocket, our lives have stalled. We are contained, curtained from other calls. This numbness is not kind, not cruel. Maybe this is limbo, accounting bit by bit for the loss of love we take for granted. In a dumb moment, we tiptoe out. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo, thank you.
Beautiful.
Fantastic, thank you, thank you. Okay, next up, with a brand new background for us, never seen him elsewhere but his room, Richard Harries.
Thank you. Well, it's because this is the dining room of my daughters. Anyway, I've got three poems. I've done them before, but the first one not very often at all. And Finn likes me to do serious, so I've selected some serious for him. Words of a Stranger. I was seated in a room in an old house, feeling alone but with other people, group therapy, counselling. A facilitator present. I was telling my story of abuse, of depression, of my stepmother trying to have sex with me when I was 14. A stranger a new member, a young man I really did not know, spoke. He told me that it was not my fault. I had been a kid. I was stunned. It took a stranger speaking the truth to bring me relief and forgiveness, to forgive myself for something that I had not done. I did have no blame. I felt lead weights lifting from my shoulders, lead weights I had carried for 30 years. I cried, I howled, I emptied myself of the guilt that I should not have carried at any time, and certainly not so soon after my mother's death. And that was something that I wrote in a cathartic way, and for years I never performed it. I think I've only done it once or twice. And then a couple of poems that got I entered them into this sort of contest for a project called Haunt, which was a play by Becky Cherryman and Steve Toase. And it won the, whatever, I don't think it was a prize, but it got published in their book and it got included in the play. And we together, not me, got Saboteur nominated. It didn't win, but it was very nice. This kind of goes with that poem, really. I grew up in Harrogate, and it's a posh Tory northern town. Very posh. I grew up in Harrogate, affluent. My dad was rich, a director of ICI. I went to Ashwell College, a boarder, although my home was in the town I boarded in. My mother died, then within weeks, a stepmother arrived so fast. I was hurting still, bewildered. Time passed and I was not welcome home. Homeless in the holidays, so I went to friends and relatives, stayed with them. But then I left school, grew up, stayed with a sister for a while, but then the time came to leave, stand alone. Dad was now in Belgium, I was not welcome, got jobs in bars and hotels, moved into a bedsit on Stray Lane. It was dirty, lonely, awful. An old woman rented a room, not a home to me, not allowed to see her telly or sit and speak to her. Her dog shit in the bath, for which she charged me 10 shillings extra, the bath, not the feces. She was not surprised by this when I complained. The final straw was when she made me a coffee. Breakfast was included. There was a dead spider floating on the top. She neither saw it nor cared. I gave notice and she tried to screw me for an extra month's rent, even though she knew I had nothing and worked in a bar. It was a dreadful start to my life as an adult. I left school looking to the future, excited. Then this. I grew up in Harrogate. And the project was all about bedsitter poverty and homelessness. And I wrote my story, then I had to think deep and hard because my sister, who died at 49, had her own story. And I wanted to make sure that she would want me to tell it, and I'm sure she did. And it's called Alone in Harrogate Town. So this is my story of my sister Judy. I was pregnant, homeless, often drunk. This was the 60s, meant to be swinging. Sandy Shaw and Petula Clark did not live like me. I was judged, despised, called a tart. Lived with friends, on the couches, on their floors, stayed in Harrogate, stayed in Knaresborough, wherever I could, whoever would have me. I used to stand on the steps of the Alex near the posh cenotaph, near Montpellier, near Austin Reed, where my dad shopped for clothes. I was short and blonde. Folks said that I was like sweet Hayley Mills, another part of the 60s that for me did not swing. I held a pint in my hand. Men would look amazed, say daft things like big drink for a little girl. Girl, I was 20. Bet you a pint I can drink it in one, I'd say. They took me up on it. I sucked it fast, got my next drink, and so it went on. Then I'd wake up in a strange bed with someone I did not know. My dad, when I got pregnant, the help he offered, £100 to change my name by deed poll before the baby arrived. She was born in Harrogate Hospital one night and I was alone. When she came, I loved her, but I did not get to keep her. I gave up my baby. I had no place to call home. She was adopted, gone, I carried on. No home to call my home. I never had another baby, and I never had a home in Harrogate, that fine town. And the only other thing, thank you. The only other thing I've got to say is I'm flattered and amazed that Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram, who's an amazing poet, has invited me to do a podcast on Sunday, the 23rd of April at 1 p.m. So I'm blown away to be doing an hour with him, which is just stunning. So there you go. The first two of those, no, the second two of those poems are in my book, Awakening. I have mentioned I've got a book out before, but there you go. Just to be reminded, I have two out, and I have some good news, which I'm not allowed to tell you about for the moment. But I shall tease you with that. Yes, Michael, it's that good. It is that good, actually.
What
Right.
a tease, Richard. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
I've had that one with your sister before, and I love it. It's a great piece. Thank you. All right. Should be Ian, but he's not here. So, Alexandra.
Sharing. Okay. Line 13. My trembling personality, my galloping personality. Let my flaws in, let my virtues in. Battling, balancing between earthly and ideal behavior. Riding with warrior duties, flying with festive ceremonies. Ancestors and descendants transforming protogenic instinct and barbarity into cultured, refined nobleness. All personalities becoming one. Following the smoke of Ithaca, wayfaring my own boat. Ruins behind, dreams ahead, expectations blending with sirens as songs. Punishments and rewards repenting and enriching our voyage. Crusading, descending and ascending, scarring and rejuvenating. My trembling mind, my galloping mind. Let my fears in, let my visions in. Battling, balancing between earthly and ideal reality. Riding past fallen Troy, flying towards sacred temples. Poetry and prophecies, transforming missions and experiences into immortal knowledge and treasures. All minds becoming one. Unadorned words enchanting the fiery dragon of the golden fleece. Angels and dart all ablaze, burning down all molds. Prometheus gifting profound new templates and ideologies. Lighting up matter and spirit, earth and sky. My trembling heart, my galloping heart. Let my sorrows in, let my raptures in. Battling, balancing between earthly and ideal love. Riding through tempestuous waves, flying through moonlit water lilies. Silver cocoons transforming hurt and trauma into soft silken chrysalids. All hearts becoming one. Hovering above earth's wounds, embracing the altar of healing. Mystical muses weaving threads of sweetness, of solace. Resilient yarns guiding us through labyrinths of personal growth. Initiating, elevating each journey of each relationship. My trembling soul, my galloping soul. Let my sins in, let my blessings in, battling, balancing between earthly and ideal liberation, riding into dichotomized horizons, flying into cosmic rays, eternal divine laws transforming dark ancient forces into golden propulsion and pulsation, all souls becoming one, lighting my own path, a path unique to me, purgatory sun holding turmoiled memories, inflexible desires, escaped hopes, rising and setting in the azure of the sea, in the azure of the spirit, surging into eternity with full sails, all my efforts maturing. Our trembling civilizations, our galloping civilizations, let our tribulations in, let our exaltations in, battling, balancing between earthly and ideal humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was ready this time. I usually just get drifting away when you're reading and forget to carry on, but I'm almost professional this time. Thank you very much, Alexander. Thank you. All right. Viju.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hey.
Okay, so the title of my poem is A Girl's Inner Battle. What am I doing? Am I not enough? I don't always have the right stuff. My quality of life is too low. Will I always be in my friend's shadow? My hair is not even Brazilian. My clothes are not designers. My skirts is not Caribbean. My intonation is not of a foreigner's. I'm not tall enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't sound good when I cough. My overdue air is becoming rough. Do you guys love my style? Do I even have a perfect smile? I always feel inadequate, and I never get anyone for a date. Every day I fight low self-esteem. It's not as easy as it seems. I sleep and dream of me a princess, and I wake up feeling so valueless. Is this coming from the society or from my lack of good upbringing? Am I a reject from heaven's factory? Or is this just me in my thinking space? Why do other girls seem so confident, walking with swag, looking intelligent? Why do guys treat me like trash, even when I never begged for cash? I can't explain this to my mom. She wouldn't see where I'm coming from. I can't share with my dad either. He won't be interested. Why bother? Why am I feeling so lonely amidst other girls? Why do I have stuffs? Why don't I have stuffs like anyone else? I'm desperate for answers and attention, but desperation will not bring me a solution. And this is my inner battles. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much. This
Thank
is
you
my
so
inner
much.
battle.
Thank you.
Wow. We all have these inner battles. Thank you very much, Viju. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Anytime. All right, Michael.
Yeah, always good to be here. Eiji, that was wonderful and really brave, so honest, but I just want to say again, I put it in the chat, but you are awesome, is what you are. I don't know if it's international or just national, but this is Women's History Month, at least here in the States. And I like to think that, it's not just women's history, it's women's now and women's future. Should be more than just a month. But that being what it is, I'm trying to sort of focus on poems about mothers, or not mothers, but women this month. And at the start of it, I'm sort of thinking of my mother, and I was very lucky and had a really nice mother, something that I know that isn't true for everyone. And I totally respect everyone who had to rise above. Not, but in addition to my mother, there were some other women who were also very important, and so this poem is for them. It's called Mother's Circle. The women in my mother's circle, each in different ways, my life nurtured, filled cracks in knowledge I could fall through, with confidential ears that I could talk to about so many things I didn't understand as I struggled on the road to be a man. In my heart, each one still holds a special place. Their wisdom still echoes from beyond the grave. Well, their compassion and their empathy, those priceless gifts of time they gave to me. And the second one I want to do is about my cousin. And she was a very special woman. She was actually older than my parents, immigrant from Poland, and just amazing artist and cook and all kinds of stuff. And so this is one called Walking with Mina. Around the block from the red house, she, holding my tiny hand lightly, loosely, so petite herself, she barely needed to bend to look into my 5-year-old eyes. Kneeling by my side, pointing out what some would call weeds and brambles, but she saw as wonders. Picking a tiny blossom, laying it flat on my smooth-skinned palm. Pulling twigs and dry grass together, punctuated with petals, pine straw, and bark on the sandy Carolina soil, arranging them to form a tiny path, a rooftop, tree cover and clouds, a fragile landscape. Just like in her paintings, subtle watercolor strokes merged with pasted fragments of flora, combined to make magical miniature tableaus, mirth, earth, and phantasm, the most common elements oft overlooked, transformed, the makings of most marvelous inventions. Perhaps there was a touch of the magpie about her, eye attuned to treasure lost in plain sight. Nothing miserly, instead thriftful and resourceful, powered by recumbent imagination, careful observation, surrealist scenarios full of luck and pluck, flat, silent spaces of pure zen. That twig, that petal, that seed, that thorn, each had its own story and each played a role, part of a story laid upon the smooth, white, rippled stages of processed pulp, dried thin in rectangles. No thing, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential or insubstantial, is without worth, without means to bring meaning to moment. Each fragment and sliver of matter on earth contributes, dances along in the continual act of being. Attuned, seeing scent set out on planet's endless carpet, collage of unceasing possibility, ever varying view, each treasure picked a new chance to point to perfection. Having shown me this giant, quiet way of seeing small, this ever altering elemental lesson. She took my hand again in her withered paper, brittle boned fingers, led me up the walk, brought me inside, set me by the window, and made me cocoa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Fabulous. Wonderful as always. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Zooming back across the world again. Neil. You're muted.
Hello? Can you hear me? I have unmuted, so oops. Why don't you come
You're
back?
breaking up. Maybe if you turn off your camera, that might help.
Maybe I might have to do that. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
That's clear.
I am sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I'll just get to it. By way of a bit of the backstory, this poem is dedicated to my dad, who's, by way of background, he's a PhD in linguistics, and he was a very articulate person until he had 3 strokes over the past 18 months or so. And I was tending to him in the hospital in New Delhi where he was. And this is really a conversation as they evaluate him for vascular dementia. So that's the backdrop. So the poem is titled A Memory of Elephants. And I just encourage you to look out for collective nouns. All right, without further ado. He has become more than just absent-minded, this octogenarian PhD in linguistics, my father, who has no idea where he is or how he got there. Name me 5 animals, challenges the doctor. He's just doing his job, but it's like a tiger ambush. There was a time when a single stentorian look would have made the young neurologist quail. But clearly, for now, the boot is on the other foot. The inquisitor herds him in with the obstinacy of a buffalo, with the stubbornness of a rhinoceros. Attempts at subterfuge or diversion are calmly swatted away like a lion dealing with a pesky fly. For now, the philologist has to swallow his pride. Do you mean any animal that I've met recently? The professor asks. The young whitecoat smiles indulgently. He's on to this game of cat and mouse. He throws open a window to allow in insects and birds. Only trying to be helpful, he has now inadvertently let in a swarm of locusts that cloud over the mind. The professor's brain goes blank like a whiteness of swan. He listens out for a quarrel of sparrows, the chime of wren, but birdsong yields no names. A gaze of raccoons, hopeful, the young doctor and his much older patient seem equally sleep-deprived. Feeling hounded, the phonetician hares after rabbits who disappear down rabbit holes without leaving a trace, like the scurry of squirrels. A is for aardvark, seems like too much hard work. Z is for zebra, is a crossing he might not get to anytime soon. The doctor reluctantly and finally allows me to give my father a hint. Meanwhile, the horses have bolted. The cows won't come home. Thank you. And the second poem I have is called Shonje-in, which is based on Oriental and Korean Buddhism. And those words are actually are a catch-all for the Korean alphabet, Hangula. And Shonje-in is really about the harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity. And if you look at the Korean script. You have verticals, you have dots and horizontals, horizontals being the land, the dot, the stars, and the vertical sort of humanity connecting the two, if you will. So, Chunjian. The earth touches the sky hesitantly at the horizon, sometimes through the sea, where the sun has either set or not yet risen. As mere humans, our feet are firmly grounded by gravity. All men are mortal. Pulled through the cycles and 4 seasons by the ballet of the earth as it tiptoes around the stars in the sky. What do we humans have but words, whimsical whispers, convivial and coaxing, amounting maybe to nothing, muttered monosyllables subsumed by speechless silence? Unlike the sea that can retract and recoil on itself, words shouted out in the high tide of our anger echo out loudly long after the madness has ebbed away. What then of the words sentenced to suffocate in the trachea of our trauma, the tenderness we never quite got our tongues around, throttled in our throats, unuttered and unsaid, like that last gasp before you were gone? Do all syllables turn to song as they head to the horizon? Does each echo listen out for the sound that it will claim back as its own? No vowel vanishes, no consonant is consumed. The sanctified syllables are the alphabet soup that we now drown our sorrows in. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Of the alphabet soup we now drown our sorrows in. Wow. I do feel there's a certain feeling to tonight's show for sure. Definitely. It's wonderful. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. All right, Sylvia. Same part of the world. Sylvia.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yep, hear you loud
Is
and clear.
is very thankful I'm able to wake up and attend this event because my 3 alarm rings so I can wake up. Thank you. Today I'm attending a different piece that I never attend in my life. This is called Life of a Schizo. This is a big fictitious character. If it sounds very familiar with anyone living or dead, it's just a coincidence. Life of a schizo. Sitting on a high chair, hating my friend Sue. Why she talked to me in this way? She is very rude. It hurts me badly. I don't want to be her friend. It's very unfair she treated me this way. I hated her. I want nothing to do with her. I unfriend her in Facebook and WhatsApp. So get out of my life. It's me only, no one else in my life. I retreated to my own world. 1 week after retreat, I felt very bored. I was thinking of Sue. I miss her. She responded for a meeting after I called her. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Thank you very much indeed. I wasn't sure if you're going on there. Yeah, we all need to retreat to our own world now and again for sure. Thank you very much indeed for setting your alarms to get up for us. Thank you. All right, Brother Rick.
Sir, I am so honored to be here among you fine, fine poets. I'm going to dedicate my first poem to our sister, Leslie, who's traveling to Mexico. There was a marvelous story in the paper the other day about Mexico, so let me share that with you. It's not depressing at all. I warn you now. Okay, this is called The Mexican President is Seeing Elves. Wow! It was a news story. The Mexican president is seeing elves. Don't call the doctor to report the news. Just post a TikTok for 100,000 views. The Mexican president is seeing elves. And though this may seem like news to some, it's better than a classroom of kids held by guns, or a missile blister like 100 suns, or a sudden rainfall neath Saharan suns. The Mexican president is seeing elves. Don't hire a shrink to weigh his brain or speculate on the times. The lad's insane. Might as well test the color of purple rain. The Mexican president is seeing elves. Don't call out the army or contract a hit. And a sign of the millennium, this might be it. Or a harbinger of tea time, don't have a fit. The Mexican president is seeing elves. No carpe diem, don't seize the day. Just let the little fella scamper away. So this is it. If the model fits, the Mexican president is seeing elves. Far better, some say, than an exploded shell, or even some poster boy from hell, or a rainbow with a knot and a bow just so. But from what I hear, an Alex can be fun. But if you don't think so, well, then you better run. And then, this is called another news story. I'm a big fan of science news. This is called Ramaglamapithecus. I don't know if you've heard, just recently they discovered that there wasn't, like an orderly train of humanoids that expanded and grew and all that jazz, but they mixed and matched and mated. And, well, here's about that. This is called Ramaglamapithecus, on the dating habits of cavemen and women. Ramaglamapithecus, don't tell me, baby. You surely can't rely on this. And from that hairy, nary fellow who stooped to take a kiss or steal a little bliss, trust that Australopithecus was never very religious. Cro-Magnon was a drag-on and not so much to rely on. Required considerable fire to get any higher. And a Neanderthal liked the light slow, but you wouldn't really ever know. Though he thought he knew it all, Peking man was never really very tall, and Piltdown man was just a sham. But Juicy Lucy Pithecus Gropus always made me more than a little nervous, especially when she told me her phone was out of service. Homo habilis was a handy sort and usually kept him off the court, always puzzling over some new invention. We were never quite sure of his real intentions. Homo rudolfensis could hardly depend on his early maturity, so welcome him home, or even observe the absurdity of eternity. And certainly he carved such pretty bone jewelry, although he hardly ever sold any, and he rarely left his cavery, no doubt lost in reverie. Homo erectus, it seems, could never quite reflect us, although when out in traffic he often shunned the dilapidated musings of Washington. Had he choosing, the old things that George countenanced at Valley Forge when sleeping outside his garage, not perfumed or consumed by foppish doings, or delving into exotic panto plumage. Denisovians, on the other hand, somehow aided in the clam to modern man. Sapiens first to have his little brittle decorum, often painted his bottom like Peter DeLorean. And when mating with the best of Neanderthal stock, sometimes during an outing to some medieval hot tub, it's not a shock. It feels pretty good when encumbered by the lumber of positive paucity of philosophy. It can seem like fun when mixing and mingling gets it done. Neanderthals and Desovians mixing and matching and mating slightly less formally than 1780ing. Marching on toward modern man, it's a mixture of old friends. That's how it began. Moving in the grooving on toward what we call human, with all their simian, jimmian, and hairy heated doings. Then the Desovians were so new they as yet don't even have a scientific name, although their claim is made and the mutual abeyance paid by our ancient grandmas and grandpas too, who've laid so long in the fossil record, and long ere their docile record fade, then for inspection the labs they were laid, investigated for an important role they played when they and their manners did allay for just a brief roll in the ancient hay. They did, in their defense, proudly say, we're making better humans with these doings anyway. And would all be clear in a couple 100,000 years what they've planned for the clan then with their leafy, griefy beds, where the seeds they planted were later demanded. Modern humans just carry some Neanderthal DNA. from all these lofty ancient doings, which can't be explained away except to say they found DNA of a fine young girl, her mother's eye, a very pearl, the product of a love between, and scarcely daresly being natural doings, could be called obscene. What goes down between a Denisovian and a Neanderthal under a starry sky is really the wonder of it all. And this 100,000 years ago, they could tell by her genes it was measured to pleasured, left on the cave floor. She'd been warned not to leave her genes out the door. And those pesky anthropologists who rely, one shouts, investigating DNA can convincingly say, and that without a doubt, her folks were monkeying around because she had one set for both sides of the track. Take it back, it's a little snide. Scientists are studying to discover what all this randy mating covers. They're doing it through radiocarbon dating, but our ancestors definitely were not waiting. Human evolution, they've concluded, is a braided stream, and the inner meaning and all that freighted meeting, interrelated scheming outlaid back 100,000 years ago when the dance went late and the car ran out of gas and the mammoths came over and the Dennis and the Desovian brought clover. They had a hearty party, and now there's little Molly at the end of the trolley. The randy, handy early man, it seems, was quite the fan of the nearby valley's other clan.
To which I replied, so which man was Adam, the so-called God-made species, a creature collecting of many pieces? From where did he originate? Certainly not from the holy being whose whole eye is seeing, who invented cloning so long ago, from a rib no less, don't you know? Nah, I say, no way. For me, it's cave dwellers, mountain men, Neanderthal, the lot. Mix them up. What have you got? Us, my friends, to the bitter end.
Bravo, my brother, bravo.
Thanks for that inspiration too. Thank you. I've lost my place now. Hold on, sorry. All right, turn it over now. Right, keep you waiting, my friend. The Pakistan below.
Hello, friend. How are you?
So fine.
It's always great to be part of this community, and I was really afraid that I missed it last time, and I was not ready to miss it again. So I have got two pieces to read. Here I go with my first one. No matter when you are drowned in pain, have the valor to smile. When you are in hard times again, take a deep breath and wait for a while. When you are sick like a thirsty crow, when you are an injured bear in the snow, keep walking, let not your fervor die, nor the weary bruised soul. Once in distant mountains high, the gleaming diamond was cold. It waited for thousands of years to turn. Your patience is what you should learn. Stand still, don't give up, and be there. Find the shadow in this heavy storm. Soon the triumphs will be so near. Then rest shall feel like mother's lap is warm. Remember, it won't last too long. You will rejoice and sing a lovely song. And my second one. When the winds whispered to me of the tempest, alerted me of its anger, of the ebony clouds approaching to drown a city, of the cacophonous sound of thunder, a nightmare for pregnant women, and the laughter of the storm shivers the heart of the farmers. I can feel it. I can sense that the plants are lamenting. The species like the smell of rotten dead bodies, unpleasant. The earth is brooding over the play of rage. So am I, but I'm not strong enough to show it by trembling down the trees and canopy of the pigeon. I'm not aloof to the unfortunate happenings. All I know, it will last for a shorter time. Behind the spooky clouds, the sun like a watchman celebrating Sunday, slumbering. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. Wonderful stuff as always. Thank you. All right, we have one more reader before our feature point. So, Jeff, it's all yours.
Okay, so I have some new shit, as the kids say. A few of you have heard these a few times this week. I wrote them both for an online writing retreat last weekend. It's called Synchronicity 3. It's a little inspired by the Police song Synchronicity 2. Synchronicity 3. In the news today, We learn which new superhero movie we must see, and why it's different from the other superhero movies, and how it fits in with the superhero movie universe, so we can imagine ourselves as superheroes. And also, we learn how much money it made this week. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, a soldier blows up a bridge and himself to stop a column of Russian tanks from advancing. In the news today, we learn which famous people said something stupid and why we must cast those stupid people out of society like lepers, and how we must erase their stupid names out of existence so we can bask in the glow of our moral purity. And also we learn what words we can't say anymore this week. Meanwhile, in Iran, a woman dies of mysterious head injuries after her arrest for refusing to wear a hijab. In the news today, we learn which celebrities are fucking which other celebrities, and which other celebrities are fucking which other celebrities, and which celebrities stopped fucking which other celebrities so they can fuck completely different other celebrities. And also we learn what dresses they're wearing this week. Meanwhile, all over the world, human intervention is sparking wildfires and pollution, but people still keep having babies. So that was Synchronicity 3. And here's another one. It's a little different. It's called The Following Poem. The following poem contains strong language, suggestive content, graphic violence, and scenes depicting smoking and drug use. Viewer discretion is advised. The following poem contains flashing images, strobe lighting, subliminal messages, and rapid editing that may not be appropriate for all viewers. The following poem contains racial and sexist slurs, depictions of physical and psychological abuse, descriptions of self-harm, and other disturbing material that may offend or trigger viewer sensibilities. Please take the appropriate self-care. The following poem contains music by Justin Bieber and Nickelback. Please block your hearing if required. The following poem contains banal imagery, tired cliches, hackneyed similes, lazy metaphors, uneven rhythm, and inept alliteration. Feel free to roll eyes and sigh as desired. The following poem contains descriptions of oversexed chickens wearing lederhosen and shouting random phrases in Greek. The following poem contains weak arguments, full of straw men, goalpost movements, false dilemmas, red herrings, generalizations, slippery slopes, whataboutism, and reductio ad absurdum. The following poem contains hot takes, trolling, shaming, humble bragging, vague booking, spam, obscure texting lingo, and cat videos with corny music and misspelled subtitles. The following poem contains repeated content warnings about the poem itself, some of which tend to get silly or irrelevant. Please refrain from applauding if necessary. The following poem contains frequent Shakespeare quotations and gratuitous references to obscure Renaissance paintings and Baroque concertos. Please feel free to scream pretentious as a means of signaling your cultural modesty. The following poem contains depictions of disco dancing platypuses, giggling tomatoes, arrogant mice, gutless wonders, flamboyant gerbils, baby slugs screaming rude words at your child's kindergarten teacher, and waffle makers rife with ennui. The following poem is based on a true story. That was the following poem. So the second of the 2 new poems. Thank you.
2 new shit in one show. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. All right. We've come now to our feature artist tonight. Someone you might not have seen before. I've only seen him once before. I'm very impressed. James Scott Howes. He's an outsider poet from Leicester, with the uncontrollable enthusiasm, rapid-fire delivery, and eye-widening passion make him impossible to ignore. So even when dealing with the darkest subjects, James finds the power in joy. So let's sit back and enjoy the power of James Scott Howes.
Evening, everyone. How's it going? Just want to say the open mic talent so far has been absolutely stunning. And Finn, thank you so much for having me. The world has no interest in sensitive men unless you happen to manage to leverage it into poems, paintings, or songs, movies, slow-mo motion cap photos, or drawings that others can use as a lens to view themselves through. Why do you think so many songs vividly paint heartbreaks? Because no one wants to know a man's sadness unless there's a catchy melody attached to it. But whether you're tough or timid, placid or livid, open or closed, open means open to mockery, so we remain closed. Coping enclosed, when we close what we loathe, that's the part that can't cope. It encroaches on hope and then hopelessness grows. How many men do you think live rigid in cognitive dissonance, but stiff upper lips and slight eyes are no disguise for our listlessness? Slyly eyeing high-rise heights, granite in skyline, idly wondering what it might be like to bow out with a swan dive rather than say, I can't do this. And when the shame weighs so greatly upon our minds, we'd rather open up our skulls and our mouths to excise what's inside. Something's fucking wrong. But there's nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong in the way that we've been brought up. Look, men can't even be friends without snickering in dignity. Have to be circumspect with any kind of connection. Laugh too hard or find them interesting. Left alone, there's no chance. How long before someone pipes up with romance? Oh, calm down, it's a joke. You take everything too far. It's a joke. Like most men's feelings are, but they aren't. Because how we cope with what we feel entirely defines whether we're perceived to be real in our own or others' eyes. But I'm a man. And I cry all the time. Sometimes
You've muted yourself.
You muted. Still muted.
Yeah.
You got to say sometimes, and then you hit the mute button. So you're waving your arms on sometimes.
Oh man. Okay.
That's where you got.
I don't know how I did that. I'm so sorry, people. Right. I don't know where to go from. Okay. I'm just going to go to the next one. Okay. So, this poem is dedicated to anyone who ever has, currently is, or foresees themselves in the future having to deal with cunts. This is Revenge is a Dish Best Served Fabulously. You little miracle. You literal individual. You 1 in 1,400 trillion unmissable physical specimen of perfection. Jaws drop when you walk off and you're like, what were you expecting? Because the permanently mealy-mouthed who only know how to be heard when they shout, they're going to try to bring you down by turning your gifts around and you fix up with a quick strut and sashay away now. You haven't the time in your life. You're having the time of your life. Head to toe dressed in your splendid best, a corollary of clashing patterns, burning eyes from heads. You're so choice, they'll never see you annoyed. And even when seething, you're discreetly poised. Quarter-walling songs that have saved your life. Gloriously off-key without breaking stride, and they're bulging, straining veins from a stress headache, and you're like, oh, you're morose and lugubrious. The whole time, intuiting the truth that what they're doing is not a you thing. Because hurt people try to hurt people. And you deserve people to see your worth equaled, I said. Hurt people try to hurt people, and you deserve people to see your worth equaled. Look, I know it hurts, and you deserve to be angry. As much as they deserve the tongue lashing you're practicing. Their devastated face you can't help but imagine, and they blindside in your mind's eye every time find that you're quite riled. But you're better than reacting with bitterness when they taunt. A hateful red rage on your face is what they want. But you're dancing like everyone's watching and you're Travolta. Saturday Night Fever or week-long propulsive with manic hand gestures and frantic expressions. Look, if they're pointing and laughing instead of dancing themselves, then you're the highlight of their night and you can hardly help that you're more entertaining than them and all of their friends. You'll leave the floor if you're bored, but not according to them. You will love who you love, exuding your truth, independent, resplendent, including you, you beautiful bastard. How'd you get so handsome? Every bit of brittle bitterness, when it can come, you're gonna brush it off your shoulder and dance upon the spot that it lands on. Because you cannot hate yourself happy. I know you've tried to hate yourself happy. And I think it's time you tried to imagine what might happen had you tried some compassion. Look, joy is power. Negativity is basic. Poem over. I've dropped this mic, but don't want to break it. And also, I'm not holding a mic. The end of that poem does not work online. Thank you very much indeed. Apologies for the muting halfway through. I must have overly gesticulated. So, obviously, it's all poets online. So, I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but have you ever started writing something and got hideously, terribly carried away by what you were doing? So the following piece was supposed to be light-hearted, gentle, a little bit of a fun aside, really. And then the more I wrote it, the more fucking irritated I got by what I was doing. This is my one political piece, and it's all about shopping trolleys. Your trolley problem is whether or not to kill 5 in order to save a single life. Whereas I have something quite different on my mind. You see, my problem is with people who leave trolleys stray in supermarket parking bays and drive away without giving a single second thought to the fact that them and their kind are almost entirely responsible for the decline of polite society. Which sounds somewhat dramatic, admittedly, but stick with me. You see, you don't actually have to put it back. I mean, there's no fines. It's fine. You won't receive a grainy noir photo captured on CCTV, harsh glances or questioning of your moral integrity from anybody, except potentially me. You will remain demand and reprimand free. We all know the truth. There is literally no consequence for you. But 8 minutes later, there's a car that can't park because you can't be asked. And the hideously underpaid wage slave skillfully maneuvering the unwieldy trolley centipede has to jar up and clunk in the hole. Adding a 33rd segment to the back of the beast, attach it and heave because you couldn't spare the extra 83 seconds before you had to leave, you fucking prick. And don't give me, it's their job, you dementedly deficient disaster. Don't know about your job, I fucking hate when people come to mine and make it harder. Trolley leavers demand to speak to the manager. Trolley leavers somehow turned SJW into a pejorative. Now let's break that one down to basics. Personally, I would rather read a million slightly self-righteous misappropriated quotes online than something even vaguely racist. Trolley leavers can be guaranteed to go out to eat, be rude to waiters, harsh to bar staff, and leave their table a tipless disgrace after they scarper. Trolley leavers make my face flush, wanna ball my fist up, extend this digit, and bloody well tell them off. Something like, you helplessly selfish, bellend, blithering village idiot, dementedly reprehensible dickhead, self-righteous and entitled, entirely vile pissant for whom I have no patience, fucking Brexit voting, mental commemorative Diana Mugg owning, Ricky Gervais quoting, you can't make a joke about anything anymore, moaning, just because I don't want to see it on TV, don't make me homophobic, it's no one's fault but their own that they're homeless, hateful Daily Mail, hapless gammon, hashtag kindness, all lives matter, bastards! I can't say what makes a person good. I don't know enough. But basic consideration has little to do with goodness and a lot to do with not being a cunt. Thank you. So, the next piece is the most likable, uncontroversial and wholesome thing I've ever written. It's factual and it's something which couldn't possibly offend or be disagreed with by anyone. All facts, all likable, all wholesome. Ladies, gentlemen, them and they, I come bearing the fruits of beautiful news. You're going to die. Shit, not tonight. Well, hopefully. If you do, Blot's going to end awkwardly. But eventually, definitely, you and everyone you've ever met will go the way of everyone who's ever lived, and you will die. The very vessel that you're in within minutes begins a process of self-digestion, otherwise known as autolysis. Blood cells spilling from vessels discoloring skin, body temperature drops and rigor mortis sets in. Then your immune system packs up. And from up in your guts, bacteria start to digest your intestines next. Putrefaction, otherwise known as molecular death. Gas pressure accumulates and blisters begin bulging upon the surface of the skin. Look, I should stop. I mean, I could go on. But we're online with our friends. It's the Blot. No one really wants to know how eventually, definitely. We are all destined to become specialized habitats for a host of necrophagous insects, scavengers, and microbes. Don't be too much info. Look, I don't hold a lot of stock in too many Victorian traditions. Afternoon was the only acceptable time for women to visit. Attaching raw beef slides to the side of your face where you slept was an accepted method of maintaining youthful complexion, and taxidermy pet tea parties were an affable afternoon diversion. Google it. But there was a particular popular practice, only open to those who could afford to partake, which I wish in spirit at the very least were maintained to the present day. The keeping of a human skull upon a writing desk. A memento mori. A reminder while you work, you're going to fucking die. Why? Because you and I, online, 2023 context, we choose to eschew truths and turn myopically blind eyes away from the fact that the only thing that we're promised by life is that eventually it will cease to be. One day, I will be dead. And I'll never hold my son again. I'll never feel his wet, warm breath against my neck while I hold him tight for the precious life that he is, nor hazily gaze out of the car window at the sunlit, flitting, stroboscopic zoetrope of lush and verdant fields, nor feel the gasping electrical rush from the pit of my stomach up my chest when the music hits the perfect pitch of immense intensity, nor wrap my entirety around the one that I love and liltingly reciprocate while she does the same until we simply are. One day, I will be dead. Look, eventually, we each must return our body to the earth that birthed us. But until then, truly, we are duty bound to make our days count, never living an existence of subsistence, but one in which we are present and proud, beautifully, authentically, unfailingly alive until we die, but with the inevitable ever present in the forefront of our minds, memento mori. Thank you. Okay. Again, massive shout outs to Finn for having me on. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what's coming later. There are some incredible poets left to perform today. So this is my last piece. In 2018, I had what could only be described as a fundamental breakdown in the quality of my mental health. Essentially, my life was like living in the center of a fog. I knew that there were good things all around me, but as much as I wanted to, I couldn't reach out, touch, and interact with them. And during that point, I thought to myself that if things get better, something good has to come from this, because otherwise there's been no point to it. And I did. I got better and better and better to the extent where in 2018, 2019, for the first time I stepped on stage and performed spoken word poetry. And the entire time, all I really wanted to do was be able to discuss what it was like to be in the middle of that fog and to have that experience. But I didn't know how to explain what I'd gone through. Until about a year ago, when I finally managed to get it onto paper, how I felt. And that's going to be my last piece today. It's called Halloween Costume. And I want to dedicate it to anyone who's suffering their own personal mental health struggles. I know that you can make it to the other side of the fog, and just stay strong. Sunlight wrenches open my eyes. I've no need to know the time. I haven't had to set my alarm clock in a while. For a single second, I'm cushioned by incomprehension. And then these four awful walls fall from formless to focus on my first thought. Is this the day I ended? Because I've had enough. The part of me that knows how to sit in my car and scream along with songs that felt like they've saved my life 1,000 times has died. And I'm tired. I'm tired of wearing this grey grimace I'm twisting into a grin, replying I'm fine when people inquire if I'm all right. How long have I sat in this flat? Patiently waiting for the glacial pace of days to fade, expire and tiger themselves into night. Better is what I want to be, but in the absence of happy, I will happily settle for sleep. And there's no phone glow. No one's checking in. Because no one wants to know you when you're acting different. Someone once said to me, well, how can you be depressed? You're so confident. And I suddenly understood what they couldn't see. The costume that confidence can be. A blindingly white sheet worn by the ghost of self-esteem, but now something has switched and it's extinguished, its lights out. Dowered, dull in my house, all sprawling fog surrounding a lighthouse that's emanating no light now. Just a single simple step into the fog and I would breathe relief. My iceberg eyes white as a sheet as I fall free and a band plays nearer my God to thee for me, but I don't. Because my therapist said something which became the difference between me standing here speaking with you and not. She said, every dreadful thing you think about yourself is a lie. It's something someone else has said that you've internalized. Finally, I could see through the fog. Not much, but enough. Shaking, I shook it off. And the weight that strained my days to grey abates, and there I am, bright, blind, blinking at the brilliance. All of a sudden, my world is flooded in technicolor, and I shudder to imagine what would have happened had the fog swallowed me. The beautiful views that I'd have never seen. Playing Mario on the Switch with my kid, bombing the fuck out of Bowser. Finally falling in the love I'd always imagined but never dared believe, the one in which I'm loved for being me, and my own reflection eyes gleam, content to be, so please. If you're struggling, trust someone enough to remove the mask. See the fog recede and allow the permanent solution to the temporary problem you've been considering become nothing but a terrible tale from a bygone Halloween. Open up your lungs with me to scream, the fog will not swallow me. Thank you so much.
Yay. Wow. Amazing.
Massive round of applause. Okay. Wonderful set. Thank you very much indeed. Wow. Thank you. That was great. Yeah. Okay. We just got to move on. What else can we do? Just move on after that. Perfect. So, Leonard, you have to follow the man, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Been there, done that. About 50 years old for the first one. An advertisement for a CS grenade. Note the hand. Strong in shape, clean, the nails well trimmed. The grip is firm, steady. There is power in that grip. In the photograph, that power is black and gray, banded in blue, spherical, with the jumbled shapes of pin and spoon only added afterthoughts. This, the photograph, is our time. After a statue by Franco Vianello, the sea is not a woman. It is a man, a friend for the bars. And you damned well best remember, for there is nothing soft in him or fool enough to let your foolishness go by. Drink always to his health and sleep with one eye on your life. And true story. The lady in white business suit. She was a lovely woman, not just in body, but in spirit. One of my favorites, each day stopping by for the journal and a coffee. Black, please. How's your day? Thanks. See you tomorrow. Happy, successful, well-dressed in light perfume. And then she was wearing the same outfit 2-3 days in a week, with shoes looking worn and a whiff of alcohol instead of Parisian citrus. Passing on the journal, spending hours at a time in a chair in the cafe, drinking water, staring far, far outside the window at her old skyline. Finally, blushing when I brought her a coffee, lost my damn job. After that, she came by once or twice more, stayed out on the sidewalk, caging money and cigarettes, sleeping in the park with one eye open through the summer, on into winter, when they found her asleep forever. Thank you all.
Thank you, Leonard. Wonderful stuff as always. Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you here, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Next up, Generalissimo.
Yeah, as always, it's so good.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'm glad you fit me in earlier. So I have, hold on, I have 2 poems. Make them pull up the other one. Bear with me 1 second. The first one is called Camino Corazon. It's coming up to me. And Camino Corazon. My heart is like an El Camino. Not quite a pickup truck, not exactly sporty either, a little low to the ground. It used to be red, but I got it painted silver at Mako with a penny saver coupon. Its long hood has cat scratches. The scratches shine in the sunlight like an abstract monochromatic piece of art. Version of that, but not its place. Repaired using parts that El Camino junkyards. My heart isn't El Camino with cats. Too many miles on the odometer, a motor constantly burping and farting, but it still gets me where I need to go. And one more poem, which is called Ode to a Good Burger. A good burger can be a pub burger, crusty on the outside and slightly pink on the inside, plump and pillowy, sandwiched between toasty brioche or potato roll or ciabatta, the type of burger that compresses to just wide enough for your mouth when you squeeze the sandwich. When you take a bite, its juices drip onto the fries like manna from heaven. No condiments are needed for this grilled masterpiece. Lettuce, sliced raw onions, and beautiful bread and butter pickles under the bun are proverbial cherries on top. A good burger can be a greasy burger smashed flat on a flat top with American cheese, chili, lettuce, chopped onions and tomato, and maybe just mustard or barbecue sauce. It's not as fancy as a pub burger, but it takes your taste buds on a trip to the beach after you packed everything up and the sun began to set, but still shines brightly in that cheap roadside non-chain local little joint where everyone sits outside at picnic tables and finishes the day off soft serve ice cream and honeycombs. A good burger is a beefy road trip. Sometimes it's a family vacay to Disney. Sometimes it's a day at Six Flags. Sometimes it's just an old-fashioned Sunday drive in the country. Every good burger is always a place to return to. Thank you very much. My next Cafe Generalissimo, I'm going to say, is tomorrow. And then also I have a workshop on the 25th of March. I'll put that information, and it has the BST time for all you people that are across the pond. Thank you very much, Fran. Always a wonderful Blot is always a wonderful place with the best poets.
Thank you very much, Brian. Your sound filtered away at just near the end of your first piece, but you came back loud and strong in your second one. Poets and writing about food. I think I'll have to have a Blot theme of food poems one evening. That would be interesting to hear, you know. Okay. Amanda, I believe you've got something new for us tonight. Clive.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing two. One bit of old shit and one dollop of new shit. So I'll start with the old shit, which is one that I wrote a while ago and I forgot all about it. I have performed it a couple of times recently, and it's called Reincarnation. I never believed in reincarnation. Thought it was the imagination of those in a state of desperation who couldn't take burial or cremation as the final act at life's cessation. Then I met a woman called Chris, a semi-famous hypnotist, and now I have an increasing list of beings who were me in the mists of time. Saints and sinners, losers and winners, each of their lives was apparently mine. At the first appointment she braced me for the disappointment that the session may draw a blank. But I got the money from the bank, and bugger me, nearly had a seizure when she discovered I was Julius Caesar. She said, under the spell of her hypnosis, I gave a rather gloomy prognosis as I came to a rather sticky end. This was a shock, I can't pretend, but there was more to come to strike me dumb. She said if I paid for another session, she felt she could get a confession that in another life I'd been notorious. This possibility felt quite glorious, so off I went to the TSB, withdrew the consultation fee, and then she set to work on me. When I came round and all was done, she told me I was Attila the Hun. I pleaded with her, for heaven's sake, please, don't tell me I died of a nosebleed. That to me is more notorious than all the conquests which made me victorious. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she said. Think of the poor wife you'd only just wed, then hours later you were bloody well dead. Time went on, as it tends to do, and more past lives were discovered anew. At various times I was Abraham Lincoln, Joan of Arc, Joseph Stalin, Bonaparte. I was the captain of the Titanic, and someone unnamed who was quite satanic. King Harold with an arrow in his eye, Anne Boleyn waving her head goodbye. Beethoven, Bach, Chopin, Mozart, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Descartes. I was even a rat like William Hague, who went round spreading bubonic plague. With such a checkered history, it really is no mystery why everywhere I go alone, staring longingly at my phone. No one wants to risk a sticky end, or a flashback for which I seek revenge. Oh, and I'm that gullible bloke who believed any old shit and ended up broke. So that's the first one. Right, the second one. I'm going to switch my camera off for this. There's no Queen, honest, there's no Queen appearing or anything like that, but this is supposed to be taking place in a radio studio, and you can't see what's going on in the radio, so I thought I'd make it real so that you can't see me. Okay, so here we go. This is brand new, written this morning, so I don't know whether it works or not, or even if I'll do it without messing it up. Why don't you fuck off and die? Is the new collection of poetry by controversial writer Max Shitstorm. Shitstorm, whose real name is Clive Shitstorm, or is it Max Clive? I don't know, and frankly I don't care, because this is my last interview for this second-rate radio station. They don't know that yet. Well, maybe they do now, if they're listening, which I doubt. Anyway, Max, or Clive, or Shitstorm, or whatever your bloody stupid name is Is this book as awful as all the other shit you pumped into the system? Oh, I'm so sorry. He can't reply. He's bound and gagged with headphones, forcing him to listen to someone with a monotonous voice reading some of the dross he's written. I forgot. So, this isn't really an interview at all. It's revenge! You called my show Safe Dross, didn't you? Shitstorm. I think that deserves a slap in the face with a wet fish, don't you? Oh, I haven't got a wet fish. I'll have to tickle you with this feather duster instead. Revenge, motherfucker! I hope this makes you sneeze. I've written a poem about you, Shitstorm. This is not Safe Dross presented by a boring middle-aged old fart earning lots of money, is it? You're cancelled, Max. I'm going to burn all your books. Who's edgy and subversive now, Shitstorm? Am I still safe and boring, you prick? Anyway, the poem. We are frightfully sorry and apologise profusely for this frankly quite disgraceful disturbance. The police are on their way. In the meantime, here's Bruckner's rather splendid Symphony No. 9 in D minor, played by the Gerbils Orchestra, conducted by Henry Hedgehog.
I bet the pros think this really is a gerbil orchestra, plebs. Oh, dash and bother.
Thank you very much.
That's great that Gerbil Orchestra made an appearance there. That was fantastic. Thank you. And that worked, sir. It worked. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed, Clive. Okay. We've got a couple of new faces on Blot in the Road just now. The first one is, she's already on the collage because she was in the Grinch film. Please welcome Lindsay Oliver.
Hello. I live in Edinburgh. It's an ancient city, and we affectionately call it Aldreekie. This is a sonnet I wrote for Aldreekie. Aldreekie's one big conservation zone. Access a cruel game I'm bound to lose. Historical exclusion set in stone. I paid my taxes and I paid my dues. Yet I'm still barred from all the basement clubs. They're as good as gone, disappeared, closed down. I can't gain entry to most Edinburgh pubs. A secret demolition of my town. Already living in a shrinking map. A chronic illness is my only crime. A fear of falling down a gaping gap. This lockdown, housebound isolation time brings an unlooked-for blessing, sets me free. Move online, opens up the world to me. I wrote that after reading Edinburgh Council's guidance on historic buildings and conservation areas. I came to the conclusion that I'd have more chance accessing most parts of the old town if my body was physically transformed into bricks and mortar. Make me worthy. Blind me. Gouge the eyes from my face. Scalp me. Hack the hair from my head. Skin me. Split me open with a bright spade blade. Gut me. Hurl my entrails on the ground. Butcher me. Hang my substance in the sun. Crush me. Grind me into powder, into dust. Choke me. Smother me in lime. Drown me. Stifle me in water. Beat me. Make of me a mortar. Hair, skin, powder, bone. Entomb me. Sink me in the dirt. Exhume me. Harrow me with clay. Throw me. Strike me into bricks. Fire me. Forge me in a furnace. Reclaim me. Build of me a wall. Render me. Smooth me onto stone. Sinew, bile, teeth, gall. I'd like to read 2 poems about art, visual art. Instructions to a portrait artist. Paint me beautiful, paint me whole, rub out the charcoal of my pain, take turpentine to my ruined nerves. Give me back the feeling in my legs, draw me up to my full height, make me tower over all my troubles, sketch me standing on a mountaintop, stretch parachute silk as a canvas, etch me skydiving through the endless blue, sculpt back my wasted muscles, pour molten metal into the space vacated by my left calf. Add your clay to my crumbling bones. Paint me beautiful, paint me whole. In 2020, in the midst of lockdown, I decided to do the 100-day project, where you commit to do one piece of art for 100 days. I have MS and had stopped drawing because my left hand was too weak. So I did a drawing with my right hand each day for 100 days. Wrong-handed. Weak, tired, lockdown mired. Count the cost, left hand loss. Paints, pens, all dried out. Heart, tears, all cried out. Neighbours caring, me despairing. Nothing doing, just angry stewing. No more knitting, just vacant sitting. 100 days, 100 days. Right hand works, right hand plays. Make a mark, makes a mark, has a lark. Draws a face, a cat, a hand. Beavers, bears, dragons, hares. Hurdler, sprinter, owls, fish, old photographs. Elephant, flowers, cubes, cones, spheres, domes. A fox, a mouse, newts, bees. My best pal's dog. Fanciful fish, a pig, a goose, a mallard duck. Magpie, snails. Post on Instagram. I've got it back, like a gift, a sudden shift. I can draw again. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was, wow, thank you. Glad you could join us tonight. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Okay, welcome to our total first blotter tonight. Please welcome Angie.
Hello, thank you for having me. I have 2 poems, and the first one is called The Floor Receives the Bottoms of Our Shoes. Is it less worthy to be walked on, kicked, jumped, trod on, down there below us, never seen, sometimes heard, but always there, solid as a rock? Is it revenge when it becomes slippery, a hidden trap, silently giggling, still keeping us safe on the ground? Thank you. And the second poem is called The Source from Which We Drink. It is the lake that rests in peace. It is the river that runs in a hurry. It is a cup of tea that soothes the soul, the source from which we drink. It sends beams of energy towards us, refuels the empty barrels of our minds, and empowers us to shine, to achieve, to reach our goals, and to truly become who we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to Blot. Thank you. All right. Sorry. Next up, Leslie.
Hello. All right, I'm going to read 2. The first one is an older one, but I just thought I'd read it. It's called The Heart in the Hand. I have not slept, and in not sleeping, I know some things, but only sometimes, only in the awakeness of not sleep, the precious in-between time of not sleep. This is what we dream together, then, in the hours of between sleep and not sleep, our collective dream, our human song. We dream of the heart, the simple dream of the heart, again and again, to have it not slip away and have it be gone, this memory of the heart, as though it never existed, lost for all time. We must dream it together, the heart, and remember. This is how it goes for us. Sometimes you pull it off, the trick to hold your heart in your hand, a simple trick which requires nerve, a trick often reserved for the gods or the sleepless, the trick to not clutch too hard as to destroy, to not hold too loosely for the heart to slip from our grip and fall disattached to the bloody floor to stain it, but to hold gently and with love in your hand, like the small and frightened bird it is, having fallen from the nest, panicked, little body pulsating, beating time in the small gasps, and even though and meanwhile panicked, in your hand, not to grasp until it is calmed sufficiently to fly once more. And then the second one is fairly new. It's called The What It Is. Why not? Oh, the darkness when it is on you, it wrapped in you, you wrapped in it, is dark. Someone must have been praying for me, or the fairies, with knowing my heart and the heaviness, the abject sorrow of being in the dark, must have shown their light to me, the way out, so the footsteps of my mind could follow the path out. The sorrow for us all when it is dark and we do not know why it is, what caused the aberrance of the spirit, if that is how it works, if that's what it is, that causes the dark in us, or simply happenstance, an unfortunate series of events, or the moon, the stars in the sky and their movement that causes these things, the shadow to pass over us obscuring the light, but it moves forward. It changes just like the clouds racing over this island, so fast the changes that it delights the eye to see the shapes that form overhead as you watch them trail off into nothing, disappear and form again. Something in the sky that you can watch, sometimes remarkable, in which you see clearly symbols that have meaning that you know, that we all know, that we can connect to and rejoice that there is something bigger than us, a power so strong that we could not know because we are just one as ourselves in this connected large place that we find ourselves in, that we came into being to be in. The universe, it's called, the universe. And to find your place here, there, wherever, whatever the universe is a moment that we have all experienced and have been with the unknowns, and who knows how to think further about it, to go further with it. Some do go further with it, thinking and the being with it in odd ways. Yeah, for me, it's all colors. How I see colors and shapes and connect them like the clouds or words that I see that have shapes that move and trail off into nothing, forming again into something to be because I am, and to be that I am a knowing person as I am unknowing who knows the clouds. And sometimes, only sometimes, the sun on top, behind the clouds, sometimes, and in this, the known and unknown, I am still in this and well in this, and I am just that. That's all for me, thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. What a beautiful poem to finish your last blot before you move. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yeah, for another first timer, the blot, will you please welcome Jude Marr.
Thank you, Finn. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm glad I found you. I every time I look at myself on Zoom, I think how bundled up I am. And so my excuse is that I lived in the southern states for 10 years. I've been back in the UK for 18 months and I'm still cold. I dare say I will acclimatize again eventually. But meanwhile, I have two not very new poems. but they're sort of both about the ocean, I guess. The first one I wrote after Hurricane Sandy, which is a long time ago, but I think it still applies. And it's called Sinners in the Hands of an Angry Planet. When mad oceans roar and rains a spear, when rage propels the rising tide and sewers spill, when tempest roils around your head, do you believe your gods will hear? Will you board up, hammering defiance at a yellow sky, or duct tape, making diamonds out of window glass? Will you seal your basement, let your washer dryer die so you can live? To fill a bug-out bag with bullets, hop the last bus to a better place, or stay, freezing, powerless, and huddled in your preacher's tub, playing truth or dare as water rises, praying to Beelzebub. Rapture, rapture, waters lapping at your chin, Noah's nowhere, and the only birds an albatross with broken wings. Flood insurance, I'm an ocean, can you swim? And this next one is a little more recent. And it's called Boating for Lovers at the End of the World. We must be inextricable, our goose flesh electric, our fine hairs hooked. We must maneuver in sync, instinct by instinct, as if our lives will end when our particles diverge. We are, so far, survivors, drenched, not drowned, our feet astride a capsized boat, toes curled. We balance ocean love with ocean fear. We hear fewer seabirds now, our slightest breath, chest heave, imperceptible to passing shoals. Intent on synchrony, we will be oblivious to chop. White caps break against archipelagos of plastic. Thunderheads, like stealth planes, threaten hail. Whale moan is our song. Each little death distracts. Sea blind, we nip and lick, salted skin slick until crust thickens. Abandoned artifacts, used syringes, cigarette butts, six-pack rings. Gather in our vessel's lazy wake until we trail ocean trash like Terra's bridal train, while miles below our boat's breastbone, another coral heart pales to grey. Our slant bodies pitch and groan. We are water, without angles of repose. We are liquid slipping through crust cracks. Discarded matter, matted across ocean swell, and our upturned boat, an island now, home to flaccid condoms, dirty diapers, a final nail. Thank you.
Thank you. What another fantastic Blot debut. Thank you very much indeed, Jude. Welcome back anytime, any month, every month. Okay. We have our final first time blotter tonight. Buenos dias, Martin.
Is that Martine?
Sorry?
Is that Martine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Great.
great.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good night. They're going to read in English, right? I mean, Spanish.
Yeah, he's going to read in Spanish and I'm going to translate it quickly into English.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Mi first poema, mi primer poema se llama Nube Gris. Nube gris, densa, oscura y fría, que alguna vez fuiste blanca, hermosa, pacífica y tranquila. Oh nube gris que ha sido sacudida por el estruendor del rayo, sacudida por las malas corrientes de vientos fríos, y así caíste en dura depresión ambiental y natural. Yo te entiendo, yo te comprendo. Mi nube blanca, ¿qué libertad has sentido? Has tenido, que has viajado por donde has querido, transmitiendo paz, libertad, amor. Tú que perdonas al relámpago y al trueno, y por su culpa cambiaste tu estado natural, ya molesta, asustada, irrumpiste violentamente en mi pueblo y en mi casa, destruyendo todo a tu paso. Temerosa y asustada, ya gris y oscura, deja caer tus lágrimas y tus penas en forma de suave y cálida lluvia para sentir tu amor. Regálanos emociones, nostalgias, ternuras, anhelos, sueños y esperanza. Amor, el mundo, la vida y yo te lo agradeceremos. Entonces nacerán las flores, la fauna, el campo, las aves, los pájaros. Los pájaros cantarán agradecidos de tu amor, nube gris. Sabrás entonces que no habrá rencor ni resentimiento, de que las montañas, yo, mi casa, la humanidad, te amamos y respetamos. Tú, mi nube gris, estamos conectados como dos gotas de agua, como dos almas, la tuya y la mía.
Okay, this one's called Gray Cloud. Cold, dark, dense gray cloud, once white, beautiful, peaceful, and calm. Oh, gray cloud, you have been shaken by the rumble of the thunder and lightning, jolted by the bad currents of cold winds, and so you fell into a harsh environmental and natural depression. I understand you. I comprehend you. My white cloud, what freedom you have had and felt, that you have traveled wherever you have, wanted, transmitting peace, freedom, and love. You who forgives lightning and thunder, and because of it, you changed your natural state. Already upset and scared, you stormed in violently into my town and into my house, destroying everything in your path, fearful and scared, already gray and dark. Let your tears and your sorrows fall in the form of soft and warm rain to feel your love. Give us emotions, nostalgia, tenderness, desires, dreams, hopes, and love. The world, life, and I will thank you. And then the rivers will be born, the flowers, the fauna, the fields, the songbirds, and the wild birds will sing, grateful for your love. Gray cloud, then you will know that does not open grudges or resentments, that the mountain, myself, my house, humanity, we love and respect you, you, my great cloud. We are connected like two drops of water, like two souls, yours and mine. Does he have time for another one or not? Is it too long with him, with us translating?
No, go ahead. Please go ahead. We've only got
Muchas
2 more.
gracias. Thank you very much. Este se llama Quiero explicarte. I want to explain to you. Again, en español. Por encima de nuestra inconformidad, no existe nada de lo que supones. que existen. Odio, coraje, resentimiento. No, no es necesario ir a la psicología o a la ciencia o conciencia. Quizás sea un tanto mejor estar inclinado a la filosofía, sabiduría y madurez de un predicador de paz y amor. Quiero explicarte al estilo de un profeta que no ha pasado nada. Desde que nos unimos de ese primer día y hasta el día de hoy, solo tú has visto tormentas, tempestades, que en nuestra nave tú me llevaste en tu viaje fantástico, lleno de amor y también de dudas. Quiero explicarte que en cada viaje conversé contigo, con Dios, conmigo mismo, incluyendo a las estrellas y las galaxias. Me uní con el universo y caminé de la mano con la conciencia, jugué con la energía. Peleamos muy duro por los ideales, las costumbres y la imaginación. Y en todo momento de estruendos y rayos, libramos meteoros, esquivamos tormentas, sospechas, dudas, también el dolor. Y solo lo hicimos tú y yo. No estamos solos en el mundo o en el planeta, ni en la existencia de la humanidad, mas el amor debería unirnos más. Quiero explicarte poéticamente que en el matrimonio no es una trampa. Cuando caemos en nuestras propias trampas y malos pensamientos, cuando nos juzgamos, ¿cuál es que no es sano? Para la salud mental es mejor vivir y practicar la fe y respetar nuestro templo, nuestro cuerpo, mente y espíritu y alma. Quiero explicarte, mi amor, que te amo. Y no soy psicólogo, ni filósofo, ni poeta.
I hope I can do it justice. Okay, here we go. Okay, oops, sorry. I want to explain to you. Above our disagreement, there is nothing of what we suppose that there is. Hatred, courage, resentments. It is not necessary to go to psychology or to conscientiousness. Science, perhaps, it is somewhat better to be inclined to philosophy, wisdom, and the maturity of a preacher of peace and love. I want to explain to you, in the style of a prophet, that nothing has happened since we joined from that first day and until today, only you. You have seen storms and tempests that on our ship you took me, on your fascinating journey full of love and also doubts. I want to explain to you that on every journey I talk to you, with God, with myself, including the stars and galaxies. I joined with the universe and walked hand in hand with consciousness, played with energy, fought very hard for the ideals, the customs, and the imagination, and at all moments of thunder and lightning, we release meteors, we dodge storms, suspicious doubts, also the pain, and by ourselves, we just did it. You and I are not alone in the world or on the planet, nor in the existence of humanity more. Love should unite us more. I want to poetically explain to you that marriage is not a trap, when we fall into our own traps and bad thoughts, when we judge ourselves, which is not healthy. It is better to live and practice the faith and respect our temple. Body, mind, spirit, and soul, I want to explain to you, my love, that I love you, and I am not neither a psychologist, nor a philosopher, nor a poet. Excuse me, prophet, sorry. Is that it?
Yes.
Did I finish? Okay. Sorry for my interruptions.
Thank you. Beautiful from both of you. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for coming. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you so much to let me read, to share to you guys.
Gracias. Thank you. All right. It's been a while. Raz, Ian.
Hey, yeah, it's been a while. Good to be back. Okay, I've got 3 here. One new one and one I don't think I've done before, and yeah, an older one. Okay, so the first, I haven't thought of a title. I started writing it a few days after the Ukrainian war anniversary, and it's a bit of a swipe on how governments try and make a case for war or insurrection. Yeah, you can apply it to many countries, really, to be honest, but this kind of focuses pretty much on Ukraine and the US. Okay. The cancer of autocracy with all the brainwashed faces, trapped in a rectangle of hypocrisy, on my phone it blazes as I write amongst all the commuter faces. The case for war, it always amazes and fuses with warped political cases. History has the power to teach, but may divide us as races. But shouldn't love serve to take us all to different places? At home, divisions with weaponized words, it seduces and engages. Media saturation, manipulation with toxic accumulation, it displaces. Breeding cancers of hate in little head cages. The American man welded words and lit the fuse of anger rampages. Death by ideology with stealth autocracy, the anger it engages. Filled as democracy as his ego war rages, as eyes debate meaning from faraway places. Yet again, on our LCDs and TVs, it blazes. Leaking blame and power morphed with fear from political freak shows it disgraces. We sit focused on material accumulation in our little workspaces. We pay in money, they in blood as fighter jets invade their airspaces. Seduced by violence, a Russian man smokes death he freebases while cultivating ignorance in his pompous showcases. Control, reverse colonize, we see death in faraway places. Surround, mobilize as battle-weary troops cover all the bases. As smoke and flame consume, leaving lifeless traces, while across the border children run with battered suitcases, worried, scared, lost, and missing warm embraces. Digital divisions plus war with illegal occupations, it's toxic and it rages. Again, shouldn't love be enough to forge peace and lift us all to better places? Yet serpents twist political orientations, scaring nations and throwing anger on people's faces. Yet peace can prevail and we can think for ourselves, as shown in history throughout the ages. Right, that's the first one. The second one, I don't think I read this, little bit of a philosophical musing. It's who am I? Who am I? Seeking my soul inside the depths of my mind's hemisphere, reaching for thoughts bundled in clouds, they float by inside the expanse of my atmosphere, transcending meaning for my soul to be clear, so far yet so near. Time is a relative, a day, a month, a year. The answer's collective within our hemisphere. And that's it, all I've got for tonight. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Ian. Great to have you back, man. Nice to
Thanks,
see you.
yeah, nice to be back.
All right. Well, I've come to our last reader and got in time. Laura.
Hello, Finn.
Hey.
Okay, I've got 2 pieces, and the first I wrote for a call out and for women to write pieces in support of women in Iran and Iraq. It's called Against the Wind. To feel my hair loosed in the wind, brushed by Sappho's wily vim, whirls tendrilled courage round my head. To feel my hair chaste as my whim, battened by the stares of men, curls my toes in naked dread. To feel my hair abased by their amens, beggared by their righteous circus den, furls my burnished strands into haloed threads. To feel my head cropped for errant mien, brandished on blades of hate's limbs, unfurls my story, left unread. The second piece I wrote as a spiritual quest piece for a course. It's called a crossword puzzle. I logged out, puzzled, stood up from the table and walked towards the kitchen. My daughter's house is unheated. I needed a hot tea. And riddles of oddness assailed me. 5 down, a hat for your soul. 12 across, bridge to your higher power. 8 down, name of your God. But the kitchen was gone. I faced an escalator. As I rode up the moving steps, I was met by God's altar and popcorn flying, a huge red star, high-vis green, lights, lights, lights. Tickets for collection, said the modern God. Enter your code here. As I rode up the moving steps, searching for God, I was met by a rush of souls, a dark tunnel, the rattle of an arriving train, the arrows pointing in circles, the faces intent and sore. Tickets for collection, said the modern God. Enter your code here. As I rode up the moving steps, searching for love, I was met by a mountain of time and a name that sounded familiar, though my ears burned with silence. The trees grew towards me, their tongues magnificent, their roots purple, eternal. Where are tickets collected? I cried. Where do I find my code? The name was repeated. The name was repeated. Mine. The voice of Kant came close. Have courage to understand yourself. The voice of Padre Luciano came next. Have courage to understand the other. As I stood on the mountain, I heard, be humble, be simple, be clear, be attentive, be love. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. And you were going to be the last, but Gerald's made it just in time for a spot.
Oh, good.
Where would a Blot be without Gerald? We'll give him a few minutes to get warmed up and get settled down. So what I'll do is I will read one while we're waiting. And this is one I've never done before. It was written as part of a commission for a little festival up here last October. And it's about capitalism, and it's called More Than Meets the Eye. Above the surface, corporate capitalism ready to drop some seeds of trickle down. Sadly, they say, there's not enough to go round. One seed per group will have to do. Yet underground, the roots of greed, corruption, and sharing amongst friends spread out like contagion, raging on deeper and wider. The closer to the surface, only little can be seen, but deeper and deeper the roots spread out, obscene in its contacts, pay out for favors, pay out for whatever jobs need to be done. On the surface, it's all smiles and joy, ensuring it's not a ploy, saying all the right words that you expect to be heard, but underneath, below the surface, the dark, hidden world, the ego spreads like tree roots, waiting to cover every inch it can, grabbing, grasping, holding on, whilst the branches sit calmly, sit absorbing the roots, the untruths reach out, pulling in the easily fooled, pretending that what you do is for the good of all, to save the planet, to go net zero, pretending to be the hero. That's mine. That poem's never been read before. The commission, it's a half-hour thing I had to write, and that sadly I had to edit out of it for time-wise. Anyway, welcome, sir. Gerald, you've made it in time, and you're our last reader.
I'm sorry I missed it. I've been at Yes We Can't with the Poets Pandemonialists. I'll just do three then. This one is called Money in My Pockets and Clothes to Wear. I saw you in the shopping mall. You weren't buying anything at all. I saw you by the cenotaph, not paying respects or having a laugh. I saw you sitting on a bus stop seat. I don't think you had a bus to meet. I saw you staring at the town hall clock. Time ticked by, tick tock, tick tock. I saw you waiting at the food bank queue, but I'd got urgent things to do. Money in my pocket and clothes to wear. Why would I see you standing there? Little one called Money in My Pocket and Clothes to Wear. So I do a thing called 42 Worcester, which some of you know is run by South Winspear, and it's mainly from prose, but occasionally do a poem, and it was a dark and stormy night. So this was the one I wrote for a dark and stormy night. I have to warn you, this is quite terrifying, this poem. So if you may, just want to, if you've got a teddy bear or something available, may be useful. It was a dark and stormy night, and the children wore pajamas. Some were wearing dinosaurs and some were wearing llamas. It was a dark and stormy night, and the children were in bed. Some of them were ravenous, some of them well fed. It was a dark and stormy night. Some of the children coughed. Some slept with the light on, and some slept with it off. It was a dark and stormy night. Windows and chimneys rattled. Rain and wind and other things were having a mighty battle. It was a dark and stormy night. And a voice inside my head said, some of the beasts out there are living. Some of them are dead. Bears and wolves and crocodiles, anacondas for miles and miles, vampires and dragons and empty graves, ghouls and ghasts and the devil's slave, witches and withered man with no head, pictures in books I wish I'd not read, all of them crawling up my window pane, rubbing their noses again and again on the brittle glass they're trying to get through. What on earth am I going to do? I best stay inside my cozy bed, pull the duvet up tight, hope that the sun rises again after a dark and stormy night. Thank you. I hope that wasn't too terrifying. I try to keep my poems light generally, but there you go. And finally, I went up to Leeds, despite Clive's remonstrances about Leeds. Leeds has become a wonderful place. It's getting better and better, I'm told. And we were in this hotel, which was really nice, but it was a kind of businessy hotel. So everybody was there in the morning going off to business meetings and stuff. And I wrote a little poem called Business Breakfast, and I'm just going to finish off with that one. And it goes like this. Everyone's half asleep or wide awake. I should just mention that the floor had a carpet, which we'll get to, but if you're feeling queasy, you may want to watch out for that. Everyone's half asleep or wide awake. There's a couple of girls. One ruffles the other's hair. Reminds us that this room isn't just a stop off between conferences and work meetings. You can tell who's checking out by the rucksacks and wheelie cases. The man with the t-shirt which says rabbit one way and duck the other. I suppose he's in IT. We are off to the museum and art gallery, last of the dawdlers before the working day begins. Carpet covered in spirals, thick perhaps, or neural networks. The window is tinted, making ring roads sycamores and billboards even more grey and the sky dirtier. We spend so much on nothing. It's how it has always been. A meeting on pyramids at 8:30, too early after last night's camel's milk, discussing stone supply and angles of ascent as if they mattered. Arkan's showing off again and Tut is trying to impress. Cairo is only half awake. The gods look down just for a moment before going back to bickering. Here in Leeds, they are still building pyramids of glass. But I'd rather be the two girls quietly in love. Thank you, that's me. I'm glad I got in to join you guys. Sorry I missed everyone.
That was just a perfect way to finish, though, Gerald. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And I said that was so scary. I don't even have Smudge it with me tonight. All right, thank you very much. As Rick calls me, Smudge is human. Wishes you all a good night, and we'll see you next month. For next month, it's going to be busy for me because we've got Batavia Castle being feature point, and also if everyone gets their videos in time for the Wasteland, I'll be working on that, which will be shown at the Rockport Festival. But thank you all anyway, and this will be out in video on YouTube tomorrow probably. Thanks all. Thanks for coming. Thanks to all on you.
Cheers. Yeah, see everyone. Catch you all again later. Bye.
Priyanka's just been at Poets and she was fantastic. So come next month.
Good.
But have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Ta-ra.